Welcome to the Radical Success Podcast, where we focus on internal transformation to experience external results. I'm your host and coach, Doreen Rainey. Join me each week for insightful messages and powerful interviews to equip you to take bold, courageous, and radical action to live the life you want and deserve. Welcome to the Radical Success Podcast. I am Doreen Rainey, and boy, oh boy, have I got a show for you today. I am thrilled to be able to bring to you this incredible woman who is going to be talking adventure with us today. And not only will you get to know her through our conversation on this podcast, but you'll also get an opportunity to connect with her up front, in person, live and in living color at the upcoming Radical Success Intensive. This event I'm hosting is taking place September 14th through the 16th in the DC metro area. And it is for those who are ready to accelerate success by focusing on their internal transformation to create external results. We have been talking a lot about the mindset it takes to be successful. We've been looking at the behaviors that we exhibit, the habits that we have, and we've been analyzing whether they are serving us or whether they are hindering us. And this event is all about helping you explore your own mindset DNA. We're going to be looking at what are the fears that may be holding you back? What are the reasons you may be stuck? What is it about procrastination that really keeps you from moving forward? And we know that success is an inside job. So if you have some goals around your business, if you have some goals around your career, around your health, and my goodness, it just hasn't been happening for you, and you're trying to figure out why, then you need to be at the Radical Success Intensive. And you can get all the details at radicalsuccessintensive.com. I will be there sharing how to take a deep, complete transformation to move from where you are to where you want to be. And this woman will also be here as well. Kellee Edwards is a travel expert and television host by land, air, and sea. She is a licensed pilot, advanced open water scuba diver, explorer, and journalist. A pioneer in her approach to adventure travel made her brand, Kellee Set Go, become recognized by some of the biggest brands in travel, including that of the largest TV network in this realm, the Travel Channel. Kellee is the host of Mysterious Islands, a series that explores some of the most remote islands of the 100,000 islands in the world that you, me, and most people more than likely have never heard of. Kellee has explored over 40 countries thus far, including parts of North and West Africa, Asia, South and Central America, Europe. And my goodness, her extensive travels have taken her a long way from where she was born and raised. And so Kellee holds a BA in communications from California State University with an emphasis in journalism. And she has been featured in Forbes, Elle, Condé Nast Traveler, Travel and Leisure, Outside Magazine, Essence Magazine, and the list goes on and on and on. So please welcome to the Radical Success Podcast. I'm so excited to have her with me. Let's all say hello to Kellee Edwards. Hello, Kellee.
Good day. Hi.
I have been so looking forward to this conversation. I was introduced to you probably 6 or 8 months ago by my husband, who had saw an article about you and was like, oh my goodness, you've got to check her out. She's doing such amazing things.
I love the husband already. Shout out to the husband being supportive. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. And I'm just so excited at what you're doing and how inspiring you are with what you're doing. And so I wanted to have a conversation for our listeners to just talk about life being an adventure and how you can incorporate adventure into your career and your business and your relationships, so that you can really play full out in this thing we call life.
I'm all about that. All about that.
Yes, yes. So first off, share a little bit about your journey. Like, what was it that sparked your interest in travel? Because that's a lot of what you do. But then also the adventure side of it, the being a pilot, the scuba diving. What was all of that coming from? Where was all of that coming from?
Well, I grew up in two inner city areas, south side of Chicago and San Bernardino, California. However, my parents made sure that I was exposed to, the outdoors at a very early age, doing things that we could afford. We couldn't get on airplanes, but we could definitely hop in the car and, drive around and see what was there, whether it was the next city over or it was a state away. And I grew up as an only child, and I have a very insatiable curiosity, and my parents fed that tremendously. I always tell people I was like the weird kid. When it's raining, I'm out with like the stick and a string and a paper clip at the end of it, like fishing for leaves as the gutter is passing by, riding the unicycle when everyone else is riding bikes. I've just always looked at life as what else is going on out there besides what's being presented to me. And I don't know where that came from, but it's just always been in me. And so at first I thought it was like me being weird and me being called weird. But the older I got, I realized it wasn't a bad thing to be different, because so many people settle in life for things that are just there instead of taking the initiative to step outside of their comfort zone to see what else is going on in the world, because there is a lot. Oh my gosh, so many things.
Yes, yes. And it's interesting that you use that word exposure, because for those of you who've been tuning into the podcast, you know that my mother passed away on July 20th. And I did a tribute to her about the lessons that I gleaned from her life. And the first lesson that I shared was about exposure, and how, as a young child, I was doing everything from ballet, tap, jazz, piano lessons, roller skating, pageants, gymnastics. Not so much because it was like I'm great at everything, but just the idea of what's out there, what's available to us, what can we get excited about, what will spark that interest. And being from the inner city, or being from a lower economic standard, that shouldn't necessarily hinder you from getting out there and finding that exposure.
At all. And I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. Especially within the African American community, it's like a thing. It's a generational thing. Well, we didn't do that, or we don't do that. Well, when are you going to do that? You can be the first person. Move forward. Be progressive. Stop. Your mind, it can be a trap. I always say we're our own worst enemy, because once we get in there, we just keep digging this tunnel, right? That just goes to the middle of the earth, when there's space out there if you reach for the sky and beyond the atmosphere. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm really big on just being curious, and exposure is everything. So even if it's something that you haven't done, if you have children, if you have family members, like, just be willing to take that risk to see. At the end of the day, you don't have to like everything you try, but at least you tried it.
Yes, yes. And, being able to marry something that you love. So you obviously got hooked on travel. Yes. So what is it about travel that excited you, even before it was your career? But what was it about travel that just really resonated with you?
The fact of growing up in a place where I often just saw like city blocks, and it was just a monotonous, it was like a monopoly block of things that I was always seeing all the time. And it became like ingrained in my thoughts as of what the world was. But when I saw that there was so much more out there, as a child, we're visual creatures. And so when you start seeing things that are unlike the things you know, you naturally become curious and want to see more. So when I started seeing mountains, when I started seeing ocean, when I started seeing greenery,
Yes.
I'm being honest with you, it was just a visual stimulation that took my thought process to a whole other level.
Mm-hmm.
And it just grew. It grew from going to the next city, to the next state, as I got older, to the next country. Then it became not just about going and seeing monuments, but knowing who the people are.
Yes.
And the people are really, to me, what travel is about. And as different as we are in our cultures, but at the end of the day, we are so much more alike.
Mm-hmm.
We all have emotions, feelings, family, people, places, and things that we love and we want to share with others. And I think that's probably one of my favorite things about travel, is learning how the next man and you have so much more in common than you think, only if you take the time
Mm-hmm.
see what their day-to-day is like.
Yes. Yes. And I love the idea of discovering the mountains and the greenery, because a lot of times when people think travel, the first thing they think about is, well, how much is that going to cost? How expensive is that? And I always say there is a whole lot to see within, a 3 or 4 hour drive or a 6 or 8 hour drive. And there's a lot between, Washington, D.C. and California that can show you so many different traditions and cultures and people and landscapes and architecture just inside of this country. And yeah. And so what was it that took you from the travel being something that you love to do to actually becoming your career?
So my degree is in communications with an emphasis in broadcast journalism. So I came out the womb talking and asking questions. And journalism is just a very natural thing to me. And after I graduated college, I dabbled in a lot of things. I dabbled in sports reporting, entertainment, primarily. And honestly, after a while, I just got tired of knowing about like your dress and what's in your purse and your next movie. I was like, this is all fluff.
Mm-hmm.
What else is going on in the world? And so I had to back out of that aspect and say, okay, Kelly, you don't want to divorce journalism because you love that. No, we in this thing to the end. We married to that. But what else can you do in journalism that fulfills you? And I was like, all those trips you took with your parents as a kid and how travel resonates with you and how you love being outdoors and you love adventure. There's such things as an adventure travel journalist. I don't know, but I'm about to go find out. So I'm going to take my camera and my tripod, and I'm going to make my own videos, and they weren't the best, and I still leave them up to be exposed. Like, I want people to see the growth.
Yes.
I didn't just do a TV show, okay? I was out here having really terrible YouTube videos that I was getting my reins as a travel and adventure personality. And so I built up my brand doing videos and blogging and vlogging. And one day I looked at myself and I felt like I was lost amongst the 2 million other travel bloggers and vloggers. And I was like, child, you got to do something different. So what is that going to be? And then I started looking at TV, and it's like, that's your goal. You love being a journalist on television. So what are you not seeing? I was like, well, I definitely see a lot of older white males, and I'm definitely not that. And I don't see them. Everyone's getting to a place by airplane, but no one's flying to get there. So I should learn how to fly. And it sounds absurd. But it was the smartest thing I've done for my career, because to this day, there's still no travel TV hosts who are getting in an airplane to get to where they have to go. And, I love the ocean, and there's this stigma that, Black women, we not swim or getting our hair wet. There's a lot of us who are not, but there's some of us who are, and I'm one of them. And it takes often, I've found, for people to see someone to do it themselves. But for me, it was to not see someone that made me say, I'm going to go do it because I belong in that club too. And it's not all yours. So let me in this thing, you know? And so, yeah, I just decided I wanted to kick up the adventures, becoming a pilot, a mountaineer, diver, and I wanted to be on TV and see and do what I was not seeing being done. And that's what happened.
Let me tell you, there are so many nuggets in what you just said. And for those of you who are listening, if you've kind of been half listening, half not listening, this is the moment where you get a pen and you get a piece of paper and you take some notes on what Kellee just laid out for you. So first of all, she decided what she wanted to be. And it wasn't a matter of, is someone already doing it? Is it already out there? It was a matter of, okay, let me create it. Yes. And I love that you talked about the early stages. And so many times we meet people or people come across us at a level of success that they think we started at. Exactly. And they don't understand that we've been doing this thing for a minute, honing our craft, honing our skill, taking chances, putting stuff up there that, hey, maybe at the time we thought it was the bomb. But looking back, you kind of like, what was I thinking? But then to leave it up there, I've got some videos up on my YouTube channel, and it's kind of like, wow. But to keep doing it, because you know what you love, you know there's a lane, and you're honing your craft, and you're building your brand, and you're getting your audience. Yes. And then, did you catch that next nugget, listeners? She created a differentiator. Absolutely. She created something that set her apart from the other people who was doing what she was doing. And in any business, in any brand, you've got to be able to articulate why you. Exactly. And you did that flawlessly, getting your pilot's license, scuba diving. And so what was the process for the Travel Channel to come knocking at the door? Or did you go knock on their door? What was that process like?
I knocked on their door first because that's my personality.
Yeah.
What's going on in there? And I literally had a 3-minute pitch meeting with them at a conference called Real Screen. It's where all the networks go, all the production companies go, and it's a lottery system. So I say, by the grace of God, whatever works for you, I was able to secure by lottery a 3-minute meeting with Travel Channel. And I made a 1.5-minute video, a 1-minute video, and a 30-second pitch. So I was really done in a minute and 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. And after they saw that for the first time, it was a programming person and a development person. And when they were done seeing my little 1-minute video, they were like, wow, we've never seen anything like this. We've never seen anyone like you. Mm-hmm. However, just so you know, Travel Channel, we don't shoot our own TV shows. We buy them from production companies. Whoa, when I got that information, I just maxed out this whole little credit card I got to be in here thinking I'm about to walk out with a show. And you mean to tell me you guys buy your content from other production companies? But because they liked what I was doing, they were kind enough to say, hey, these are some of the companies we work with. If you can get a deal with them and they shoot something with you, we're already aware of you. We'd be more than happy to look at what you're doing. And so I had a production deal with one of the companies that work with them. Nothing happened in the 6 months I signed with them. Most people would give up.
Say that again.
Like I said, I signed a deal. I got shelled like I was in the music industry. I didn't get to put no album out or TV show out. Didn't do nothing for the 6 months, right? And most people would be like discouraged. But me, no. I say, you know what? I know what I have is something. It may not be now, but let me go keep working on my craft. And in that time, I went to do news at Fox 5 San Diego. I did it for 3 years, and I was their travel and adventure personality. So I was able to still participate in travel journalism, be in a newsroom, be on live TV, which is hard. Live TV is hard to do. And still go around shooting my videos, building my brand as the adventure travel person. And everyone knows me as like the young black pilot adventure girl. And I was in a magazine, and someone randomly saw me and was like, this girl is very interesting. told a bunch of people about me, production companies. And so it went from me trying to get production companies to pay attention to me, from production companies, literally like 4 of them coming to me. And at the end of them, 2 of them fighting over me, literally.
Yes.
Trying to get me to sign. And so I went with the production company who I'm with now called Departure Films, who best saw the vision that I had. I want to be able to have an airplane. I want to be able to fly and have adventures. And we were on the same page. So they worked with Travel Channel, had a great relationship. Travel Channel was like, we're familiar with Kellee. It's been like 4 or 5 years. It was like 3. And they're like, let's see what this young lady can do. And so I went out and shot a sizzle reel, which turned into a pilot. From the pilot, got picked up to series. And, you know, we're here. Now, mind you, people need to understand that this started in 2010 and it's 2018 right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people tell me that they want it, but I always ask how bad. And time is not on your side. It's not going to do what you want it to do, you know? And so if you're willing to believe in yourself as long as it takes and you see it through, I guarantee you, you will be able to, that seed you plant will bear fruit. Yeah. And mine took 6 years. But I'm okay with that because at the end of the day, I got the result that I wanted by being authentically who I am, bettering myself. And the timing was everything. I might not have been ready for a show, you know, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, when I thought so. But right now, oh, y'all can't tell me nothing. I've been waiting around too long for this to pop off. And so I'm ready to start. Let's go. And I am having the time of my life right now. I'm 4 episodes in, and every episode is a completely new adventure. I'm learning still about myself. See, people need to understand, it doesn't stop when you get to your final destination. It's about maintaining and progressing and growing to the next level. You have to continuously set goals for yourself, okay? Never settle, never get comfortable, because that's when they go away, now what are you working on? You don't have that because you banked only on that. No, baby, you got to keep growing. Keep growing.
Got to keep growing. And I hope that you listeners are still writing down 8 years in this process. And yeah. I believe that if you go out and you talk to anybody who you admire, anyone who you believe is doing the things that you want to do, they will also have their 8-year story. They will also have their 10-year story. They will also have their 4-year story. And so you've got to stay committed, like Kellee said. You've got to believe in yourself, and you've got to know that you cannot give up. You've got to keep going. And so what do you say to people who are trying to tap into their adventurous side? They're trying to take the risk, or they're trying to recover from disappointments when time didn't produce anything and it's already been 5 years, 10 years. What do you say to those people to help them reposition themselves, reignite themselves, to go back in and go for it again?
I believe in recalibration. I believe that you take what you were doing, you step back from it, and you come back in and see what you can do to make it better. Because something you were doing at that time may not have been enough. And if you take yourself out of being so committed to one thought and one idea, and let your thought process expand, come back in new, come back in different. And I think people get so stuck on doing one thing, and if this doesn't work, I'm not doing anything else. No, expansion is key. When I realized what I was doing was not enough to get my first opportunity, I went back to the news.
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. And recalibrated myself so that I was better prepared for not my own camera to be in my face, but 2 or 3 for 12, 15 hours a day, talking to different cultures and people and places. And I think it's just really important to commit to yourself. I always tell people, it's like, I always say I don't have the it factor, I have the commit factor. And
oh, wait, hold, pause, stop, hold up. That is a tweetable, a write it down, an affirmation, a put it in the phone, a make it a screenshot statement right there. Say it again. Say it again.
I do not have the it factor. I have the commit factor.
Yeah.
That is what Kellee Edwards has. That's what I encourage people to have, to take yourself to the next level. Because if you don't believe in yourself, you're not committed to yourself, how can you expect somebody else to commit to your thoughts, your ideas, where you want to be, if you're not being present in your own beliefs?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, and I'm very hard on myself, but I get disappointed in people when they say I've done all I can do. No, you really haven't. Well, go ask some people for some advice. That's another thing. Like, support is crucial. I have not done this all by myself.
Right.
I've had haters who have pushed me along because they've supported me too in their own way by lighting a fire under my butt.
Right.
Okay. There's nothing. Tell me I can't do something. I'm gonna show you. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. And I've had a lot of people who have supported me along the way. You have to have people who care about your truth. You have to have people who may not understand what you're doing, but say, you know what? If that's what you want to do, how can I help? And find a way to help you do that. You don't need 10 people to do that. You need 1 or 2.
Right.
Who are just as committed in your journey for yourself. They're committed to your journey, even though it's not theirs. And because it's hard. I'll be honest with you. I still get emotional. I still have bad days. I still cry. Sometimes I'm like, I know I can do this, but isn't my best, I am not without flaws. I always tell people I'm not Superwoman, even though people paint me in this light. It's like, I'm really not. I'm just a person who wants to beat herself every day. I want to be better for myself. I'm not worried about nobody else and what they think. At the end of the day, I lay my head on my own pillow with my own thoughts. And it's like, Kellee, did you give that your all? Yes, you did, or no, you didn't. Okay, well, you know what? Tomorrow, I'm gonna need you to give it another 20%. I ain't even talking 5%. Like, you literally gotta go in there, quarters on the dollar, which is really 25%. So I'm just like, you just have to, you gotta push yourself until you can't push anymore. And for me, the race is never ending. Yeah. It's never ending.
And with that commitment and with that coming back and giving more, there's another element that comes along specifically in your journey, being an African-American woman, being a Black woman in this, not just television industry, but on a channel that focuses on travel, where that's not necessarily their demographic. You're the only Black woman hosting a show on the Travel Channel right now. What has it been like for you in terms of breaking those barriers and breaking those stereotypes, and then also being someone to inspire a whole group of Black women to say, hey, wait a minute, I can go out there and see the world and live a kind of life that maybe I hadn't seen before?
I'd have to say that I think one of my biggest interactions with Travel Channel is, like, literally, it was said to me, Kellee, we don't go around, we see thousands of bloggers and bloggers all the time. The reason why you have this opportunity is because you can do. And we don't often see people who look like, as a matter of fact, we don't see people who look like you doing what you're doing. And it's a breath of fresh air. People need to know. And I feel like, there's a responsibility taking on the network's behalf. There's a responsibility taken on my half to present to the world that all adventurers are not older white males with chiseled jaws and this profile looking over a mountain. I think that it's been very beneficial for me, and I'm appreciative of them opening up the spectrum. And I don't want to be the only one.
Right.
Listen, just because I'm in there, that's not it. Let's go find some other folks.
Right.
And let me tell you, other folks, if you're out there, start, making videos and exploring. I don't mind having a co-pilot.
Right.
Go travel the world. Go do things beside. Like, I ain't mad at you looking good in a bikini on the beach because I like to do that too. My Instagram is half and half. I'm very and I'm very adventurous. But if you want to take it to the next level and you want to be in a space that you're not normally at, don't be afraid to penetrate that space.
Right.
Very much not. As a matter of fact, I'm always looking to take it up a notch. Like, I'm working on stuff now that, I kind of just go do it and let them know I did it. Like, recently I flipped twice in a helicopter, which I didn't even know was possible. Did I tell them I did that? No, I didn't. But don't be crazy with it. But it's okay. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. It's one of my favorite quotes. And as far as inspiring Black women in my community, period, it's like a personal mission.
Right.
A personal mission. And I try to do it without saying it. It's about being present. I am a brown-skinned, short-haired Black woman. You see me, you know I'm Black. I mean, I might have little slanted eyes and little different texture hair, but I'm Black. You look at my parents, my mama light skin, my dad brown skin, we Black. It's one of those things where I want them to know they can do it too. We're so athletic, a lot of us. We're already running track and playing basketball. You just do those same things out in the environment. And just being honest, and our ancestors in this country were slaves, and they spend lots of time outdoors.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So it's not like we aren't accustomed to being exposed in the outdoors. We have better circumstances now where we can actually enjoy those outdoors instead of being forced into them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I think that you step out into nature, you will feel your whole physical being on a different plane. It is the most beautiful, refreshing, compelling thing. And I have friends who they're like, they get afraid to hang out with me because they're like, well, what are we gonna do? I'm like, oh, we're gonna go hike. And they're like, well, what is this, climbing Mount Everest? I'm like, no, it's a simple trail with some trees and some sun and some mountains. You might see a little deer. And when they're done, they're like, I am so happy you took me to do that because I've never experienced anything like that. I felt connected with myself. And I just want to encourage people to just try a little something. Like, you don't have to go swim out in the ocean, but you can go into your knees. Let that water hit you.
Yeah.
We get our hair done on a regular basis, ladies. Our hair is getting wet in that bowl, okay? If you get your hair wet in the ocean, we all know you got everything you need in that bag to fix it.
Right.
It feels so good. Just try it once for me, please.
Yeah.
And I guarantee it's something you would most likely try again. And if you never did, at least you can say you're not one of those people who say, I've never done that. Oh, I tried it, but it wasn't for me.
Exactly. Exactly. I know one of my favorite places to go is in southern Utah.
Yes. Beautiful.
Snow Canyon and and people like Utah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, but it's so beautiful up there. And it's outdoors. I didn't know I would like hiking until the very first time I went. And now every chance I get, I'm flying out to, Utah. Right. So I agree. Even if you ultimately don't like it or it doesn't resonate with you, part of living an adventurous life is being willing to try those things that you would not ordinarily do. And so that's what we're encouraging you to do in this podcast. What adventure can you create in your business, in your career, in your relationships, with your own personal goals and the things that you want to explore and experience? And so, Kellee, tell people if they want to catch you on TV or connect with you online, how can they do that?
Sure. My social media is at Kellee Set Go, KELLEEESETGO. My website is kelleesetgo.com. I do lots of news segments around the country. My show I'm currently filming, it should be out late fall or early winter, January 2019. We're still figuring that part out on the Travel Channel. But reach out to me. Like, I'm pretty good at answering. I don't know if I should say this, but I'm pretty good at answering emails. And if I don't get back to you immediately, I've definitely seen it and I work on it. If you have any questions, if you want to try something new, and you just want my advice on that, I'm more than willing to share my thoughts on just how it doesn't even have to be about travel. It's just about leaving your comfort zone. I'm all about encouraging people to just get out of their own way. And please feel free to reach out to me, Kellee@KelleeSaidGo.com. Hit me on social or my Instagram. That's where I love being primarily, but that's where you can find me.
And what's so awesome, if you have loved what you've heard from Kellee so far, is you can see her live and in color at the Radical Success Intensive coming up September 14th through 16th in the DC area, where we are focusing on our internal transformation for external results. And so share with us, Kellee, what is it that you're looking forward to the most about being a part of the Radical Intensive?
I want people to come in with an open mind and leave with a plan.
Yes. Yes. And you'll be there answering questions, sharing your insights, and we'll definitely be talking about that comfort zone, because what I know, and one of the reasons why I'm doing this event, is because many times we know what to do. We know what we want to do, and we may have even taken the steps to research it, to get some data, to maybe even create the plan, but yet we haven't done it because of the fear, procrastination, the comfort zone. And so I will be there talking about how do you burst through those barriers. Kellee will be there sharing even more about starting your life outside of the comfort zone. And if there's any bit of final advice that you would like to share with our audience, Kellee, what would that be?
That would be to believe in yourself, and not on a shallow level. Find those things that make you uncomfortable and start attacking them head on.
Yes.
That's how you see the growth in yourself. And you will, at the end, you will be so proud of who you really are. Put some pressure on yourself.
Yes. Find those things that make you uncomfortable and attack them full speed ahead. Well, thank you so much, Kellee, for joining me on the Radical Success Podcast. It has been a pleasure and a joy. And I know that you are off to your next adventure. And I look forward to seeing you in September, along with all of you who will be joining us for the Radical Success Intensive. Thank you so much, Kellee.
Thank you. See you guys soon. Thanks for listening.
Bye. All right, we're clear.
Oh, you good?
Good.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. And I'll shoot Andrea the info when it's out. If you can share it on your social, things like that, that would be great. Have a great trip. Enjoy your next adventure. And I am so excited to see you in September.
Thank you, and thank you for reaching out. I am really excited. I will see you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Radical Success Podcast. We would love to hear from you. Be sure to head over to iTunes and subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Until next time, stay radical.